All right. Time out. We've got all these awesome sponsors here.
Right.
Where can they find all the information out for that?
Oh, if only there was a place. If there was only
A portal.
a hub.
A central hub to
A
do so.
central location.
Wait. I think there is.
Do we have the technology?
Yes. Baconismypodcast.com is where you can find the best deals on all of our awesome sponsors, including Drink Wild Bills, Pod Decks, Manscaped, all of them. Go over there, find their promo codes. You always get the best deals. But what else can you get over there?
Well, not only can you get the best deals, and we'll always keep those up to date, you can also help out the show by grabbing some t-shirts, some swag. Jump over to the Bacon is My Fashion section. Yeah, there's a whole section. It's just there for you. It's there for you. You can check it out. We have nice t-shirts. They don't chafe. They're nice to the nips. You know I like that.
You know Jimmy's all about his nice to the nips.
I'm like the
shirts.
Drax of this show. You know? I got sensitive nipples, man. I got sensitive nipples. If you have sensitive nipples, check that out. And you know what? How about your ear holes? You want to take care of those ear holes? Because you can find links to all of our episodes. How about your eyeballs? You want those eyeballs? You can find links to our YouTube, Strangerhood TV. You can check out everything right from baconismypodcast.com. It's easy. It's super simple. It's right there. What's your bacon?
I will say that when you go to this site, that will be your new bacon.
That will be your new bacon. Check it out.
All right, guys. We have a special guest on this lovely Saturday afternoon recording discussion and drinks. We've got the man behind GrillYourAssOff.com. I mean, we talk about them every week, right? You see them on the videos that we have from the Capulet Fest that we've been putting out every week. So now we have Jason Murff here on the show to talk some shit with us. Dude, what's going on?
Yeah, no, nothing. Just we just got back from being on the road for I think the last 3 weeks straight. Been freaking all over the damn country doing a whole bunch of wholesale shows, and today is like my first day of like relax, recover before I take off to North Carolina tomorrow or on Monday morning. So yeah, just hanging out, enjoying some Sailor Jerry.
Yes.
With you guys, and then about to cook up some tacos here in a little bit.
Nice.
Well, we're going to have some drinks, and we're going to tell some stories, and we're going to talk about grilling.
Yes.
So
we're going to intro it.
Cue the intro.
Bacon! Bacon is my podcast! Bacon! Bacon! Bacon is my... Bacon! Bacon is my podcast! Bacon! Bacon is my...
Hey, I want to apologize for not giving you the warning that was going to happen and probably be loud.
Oh no, that was a freaking awesome intro. That's props. Like everybody else's podcast intros suck ass, and that's just like getting right in your fucking face. Plus, it has bacon, so I mean, I can't think of anything better.
Nice.
Thank you, sir.
We when we used to have like some canned music that like I found when I was making the intro video. Just in whatever
video program.
Yeah, whatever program I was using, and we were sitting in here. We were like, we should make an intro. We should go ahead and make one. And we just kind of picked it up and sort of banged it out. And I was like, all right, now we need to have like yeah. And he was like, all right, you're doing that. And we were like, all right, we're just gonna yell bacon, and came together in about 15 minutes.
15, 20 minutes.
15, 20 minutes.
Written and recorded. We work fast.
Ready for the next one.
Yeah.
You mentioned you've got some Sailor Jerry going on. What is it, just straight up, or are we mixing with something?
Sailor Jerry and Sprite.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't the biggest fan. Like, so we were talking earlier before this started. Like, Sailor Jerry was like a big thing, especially in my life. Like, whenever I was first turning, getting close to the age of drinking and all that kind of stuff. And then I feel like once I was in the military, it kind of like went away. And so from, about 21, 22 to 32, there's no Sailor Jerry in my life. And then they shot us an email beginning of last year, and they were like, hey, we want you to make our barbecue sauce for us. And they sent it to James and inside the email, and he forwarded it to me. He was like, hey, I think this is a spam email, but you might want to double check it. and I verified their domain because it was their PR agency who was shooting it over to us, and they had a board meeting with the Sailor Jerry team. They were like, "Hey, we love Grill Your Ass Off. We love how they give back to the veterans and everything like that." And Sailor Jerry was founded by a Navy veteran after World War II, so it was like a perfect merge. So I hit them up, and nice. Then thankfully, one of the things about formulating a barbecue sauce with someone's alcohol inside of it is you have to know how the alcohol tastes.
Right.
So I got into drinking some Sailor Jerry, and then realized, if you mix it with just regular Sprite, it brings out the vanilla notes inside of it really well and just makes it super smooth and creamy. And that was one of the things that I started noticing. And whenever we started developing the barbecue sauce, if anyone doesn't know, like, if you're using a high-end spirit, with Sailor Jerry is a higher end, like a spirit rum, even though a lot of us probably think differently. Based on our past experiences, all that flavor cooks out of it. So whenever we were starting to develop it, it's like we kept on adding rum, and then it got to the point like, hey, this isn't financially smart to put this much fucking rum in the barbecue sauce. So we had to go back and like re-engineer how they create Sailor Jerry spiced rum and utilize those raw ingredients. And by utilizing those raw ingredients and then also just like drinking it straight, mixing it with Sprite and all that kind of stuff, you start picking up the different tasting notes and how it hits your tongue. So
right.
Seriously, like if anyone has the Sailor Jerry spiced rum, get the Sailor Jerry, mix it with Sprite, and then taste it next to our barbecue sauce, and you'll instantly start picking up some of the similar notes to it.
What was like the overriding spice in Sailor Jerry that like, what was the one that was like, okay, this is the one that gives it that flavor to let you know what it is?
So it was vanilla first, ginger, and then nutmeg.
Okay.
Those were kind of like the biggest things. A little bit of cinnamon, not a ton to it. But we kind of had to go back to the drawing board once all the flavor was cooking out and like really re-engineer it and start utilizing the same raw ingredients inside of there to match the way that the flavor profile comes through. But those three are the biggest ones that's going to make the difference in the barbecue sauce.
Nice. And I could say right now confidently that if someone was like, can you name 3 things that are in Sailor Jerry rum, I would not have come up with any of those.
The vanilla.
I might have said vanilla.
Vanilla for sure. But like nutmeg, no. No.
But that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, so like when
now I got to taste that sauce.
Yeah.
I want to taste that sauce, man.
I feel like the the world of barbecue sauces, most people lean more toward that sweeter side of things.
Right.
Man, I am all about vinegary hot sauce, vinegary barbecue sauces. I don't know why.
The bite, man. You gotta get that bite.
Man. It's just that's my thing.
Yeah.
That is my thing. So,
are you like heat too?
Yeah, I like heat too. But so, Jason, where are you on that kind of thing? Are you more of like a sweet kind of flavor?
Yeah, I'm more sweet, and that's traditionally how in the South, like Texas, everything like that does it. You get up more towards North Carolina, Kansas City, they're going to be more on the vinegar base, and
they're
anytime that
Yeah,
anytime that we try and develop something, I try and keep in mind like, hey, we're selling it all over the country and really all over the world. So I want to marry all those flavors together, but also I want to marry what I know to be 100% true, and that's Texas barbecue and how we do everything here in Texas, and especially like adding a little bit of the south of the border Tex-Mex style vibe to it. Because if anyone knows me, like, give me a margarita and some tacos, I'm in my fucking happy place.
Hell yeah, man. I also like for barbecue sauce for me, I like the thinner vinegar. I think that's great, but I always try to think in terms of like Texas and more southern barbecue sauces. Those are the kind that I can also dip things in.
Right.
That's I'm gonna dip fries in that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use
a lot of that's gonna be the ketchup or tomato based sauces with that. And one of the cool things with our sauces is, if you notice, they're not super thick because they're not processed and full of a whole bunch of fillers to make it seem like a thick sauce. So they are on the kind of thinner side to that. So you're getting a lot of the actual like characteristics of more of a vinegar-based sauce, but with the sweetness and the Texas style behind it.
Yeah.
I'm noticing on our Patreon right now, because we do have our patrons watching live, we do have our friend Donna on here, and Donna was one of the first people
to order a bunch of stuff from you guys.
And I emailed you guys after it happened too.
And I remember like on her, I'll thank you for her for being so great about the fact that like whatever happened in shipping, she got some things that were were broken in shipping, and you guys immediately fixed the issue and came back and solved her problem, and were so great to her. And so on behalf of Donna, I'll thank you guys for that.
No, I appreciate that. Y'all have no idea how hard it is. Y'all have one of the barbecue sauce jars right there to have that thing freaking survive.
Yeah.
With one of these carriers. And, y'all saw the fiber molding insert on the last order I sent you guys.
Yeah.
And those things are not freaking cheap to make, whatsoever. So, anytime we do stuff like that, we're going to go above and beyond for all of our customers, all of our products and everything like that. So I'm super happy that, we were able to get Donna taken care of on that.
Yep. There's Donna right there. Super awesome product, awesome company. I agree.
Yep,
I agree.
I agree as well.
Actually, my first order, I had the bunker bacon barbecue sauce, and my son went through my son will eat ketchup, just ketchup.
Right.
Like his ketchup is the main course, and the French fries, burger, whatever is always the side.
Everything is an edible spoon for his ketchup.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Reminds me of Big Daddy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Scuba Steve.
The bunker bacon barbecue sauce, bourbon barbecue sauce, actually replaced ketchup for 3 days, and it was gone. 3 fucking days, and it was done. He loves it. He loves it. I can't keep enough of it in the house because this child will eat it all.
Yeah, I've got the taco seasoning, and I noticed also that your favorite seasoning is the Claymore Cajun, which also I'm a huge fan of. I have a bunch of that at home as well.
Yeah,
which I put on everything, like everything.
Yeah. That was my goal with that. I was born in Beaumont, Texas, so we're really close to the border of Texas and Louisiana, and you're right there off the Gulf of Mexico. So being born there and then moving to Houston, it's just I was in the epicenter of Tex-Mex and Cajun food. So
nice.
That was kind of my focus whenever I was starting this. I was especially. I basically started it with the idea of okay, I'm going to do 4 seasonings to hit all the categories. I'm going to do a steak seasoning, a pork seasoning, a chicken seasoning, and a Cajun seasoning because the Cajun can go on anything, everything. But if I'm going to do a Cajun seasoning, I can't do, there's a brand out there, starts with Tony.
Right.
Yeah, we're not going to do it like that. We're going to do it right. So
right.
That was a special one to me. It's so simple, but yet it's so good.
Yeah, it's very good. I also have the one with Tony.
Yes.
I have that as well. Anytime I shake that on something, you just you immediately hyperventilate and can't breathe in the house. But I will say that the Claymore took over. I have far less of the Claymore at home than I do of the Tony, and I had the Tony first.
Yeah. I actually like
over, man,
I like the lime beer salt.
I haven't used that on anything yet.
It's awesome on shrimp.
Okay.
Barbecue shrimp. Mm-hmm. So that's what I use it on, and it's.
Yeah. You'll love the chili lime beer salt, especially if you like things with a little bit of heat. It gives it that same style twang to it, but just a little bit of heat added on top of it, and especially on any kind of fruit, that the chili lime beer salt is phenomenal.
Yeah, that's a nice. solid seasoning in my book. What is your when it comes to the cuts of meat? What's your go-to? What is your favorite to cook? I mean, Texas. I'm sure you got a spot. You've probably got your smoker, all that kind of stuff. Is that your go-to stuff, or is it that quick grill kind of thing?
Really it depends on what kind of mood I'm in. A lot of people think they're oh, he's Texas, he's going to be cooking brisket every single day. And
right.
I'm already tied up enough with my time throughout the day. The last thing I want to do is worry about a brisket.
You can't be smoking brisket for 16 hours?
No, you totally can. But it's not just that too. I developed this whole entire line and kind of the goal with the brand as I was competing in men's physique competition. So like being in shape, being healthy, and all that kind of stuff is still an important factor to me. So like I can't just be chowing down
so
on
you can't eat brisket every Sunday.
So it's one of those things like it weighs it out. Like a lot of people will see, if they're around me for a while, just like, I mean, James was on the road with me for 3 weeks, and like I literally had a giant 50-quart cooler in the back seat of my truck as we were driving, just full of like chicken, rice, and potatoes, and like that's it. But typically, like if I'm gonna enjoy myself, I'm gonna probably go and get a pecan, and then which is a top sirloin with the fat cap still on it, and then it's very popular in South America. I know up north, you guys probably have no idea what that is.
I know what it is.
I've heard of it, but I've not seen it in the supermarket.
YouTube videos. I've seen Google Foods make them a bunch of times.
Yep. So, and I mean, like seriously, that steak, it's like literally the perfect texture of in between a sirloin and a ribeye.
Yeah.
And then as long as you know how to cut it right to cook it as a steak, they're phenomenal. If you cut it wrong, it's going to be tough as shit and you're going to hate it. But it's just like a perfect amount of lean beef, and then it has about a 1/4-inch fat cap on the end of it that just gives it that little bit of like flavor explosion in your mouth. Nice. So, I mean, pretty much that. That or like doing a set of dinosaur ribs, like some big beef ribs. And those are something that, I'll smoke for 5-6 hours straight, but they don't require, you don't have to wrap them like a brisket. It's a lot less maintenance to it with that. And I mean, it's like literally having brisket on a stick at that point once it's done. So,
see, there's two schools of thought when you're looking at that somebody that's like making rubs and seasonings and everything. If you look at them and they're like not in shape, you're like, all right, they know how to eat. And then if you look at them and they're in like really good shape, you're like, they know how to season food because he's eating so much goddamn chicken. He really knows how to season his food.
That's 100% on point because, like, I get it all the time. People are like, "Oh, I shouldn't trust, a fucking skinny chef," and it's like, well,
right.
Chef. I was like, but two, I like to take care of myself. But on the chicken aspect of it, a lot of the original flavors like Madu's, Willie P chicken seasoning,
right,
were developed whenever I was getting ready to do the last men's physique competition I did, and I mean, I dieted for 20 weeks straight doing that show. And right before that, I had my 3rd ankle surgery, and I had been dieting for 12 weeks getting ready for a different show. And they're like, oh, hey, you have to have surgery. So it's like, shit can that. So like literally for almost a whole entire year, I was in a phase of just dieting, eating bland, boring shit. Oh. And I was stationed in Washington, D.C., and anyone up north, no offense, y'all don't know shit for flavor up there. So I would have friends and family send up something from Texas. And then I started kind of like picking apart, like, hey, why does this taste so good? And then, reading the ingredients and understanding how certain flavors kind of marry together to give you that ultimate final result. And that's really where it all started from.
Nice.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Like you think about it. Poor guy spends weeks drinking a thimbleful of water so that he can look veiny.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean that's
he wants to eat some good food.
And the funniest thing, like a lot of people, now looking at it full circle, like I would never do like men's physique competitions or anything else like that again. Like and this I think goes through with exactly what y'all are doing with the podcast, with music, with business, with fitness. Like you fall in love with the journey, not the end result.
Yep.
And that's what it was for me. It was being disciplined, having a structure, and then staying adhered to it for a certain amount of time. Those that suffer, but you're seeing the results as you go, and you're suffering. So, and I kind of fell in love with that. Once I got on stage for that and realized, oh, hey, the night before I have to go and get a fucking spray tan, butt ass naked, it's cold as shit. Right. You have all these fucking weird people looking at you that are all getting spray tans as well. And then the next day, you got to go and get touched up for your spray tan, and then you got to get a pump in a back room with a whole bunch of people that fucking stink like orange fucking, spray tan oil. And then, like, literally before you go hop on stage, like, and this was my first go at this kind of shit. I walk around the corner, and the same lady who was doing the touch-up spray tanning, she's spraying everyone down with literally Pam cooking spray to make you look shiny underneath the lights.
Right.
And like that, I was just like the whole entire time. And then you go on stage, you show off what you've been working with, but like they judge you based on whether you smiled the correct way or not. It's just like, bro, this is in my head. I'm like, this is gay as shit. Like I'm never gonna do this again. So and then,
how those balls looking?
You know what season is, right?
I do indeed. It is time.
It is time for smooth sack summer. And how do I keep everything smooth, everything tidy, everything the way it should be?
Well, I don't know how you do, but I'll tell you how I do. Manscaped, buddy. You know how much we love the crop mops. You know how much we love the lawnmower, but they have the Performance Package 4.0 now.
They did a little upgrade to the Weed Whacker. Weed Whacker is, of course, the nose and ear hair trimmer. It is now the 2.0. And also, they are getting into the beard game. They've got their brand new beard trimmer, which is fantastic. So go to manscaped.com. Use the promo code BACONPOD, and that will give you 20% off and free shipping.
That's right. So don't forget to work on those testicles, your chesticles, and your cheeks. Keep them clean and ask yourself, what's your bacon?
Well, you did it. It takes a lot of I have a friend that competes. His wife competes. Bodybuilding competitions, and then he started she was doing so much meal planning and so much. He was just kind of like I either do this with her or I have to figure out a whole other way of living, and I can't be in the house because I can't have food here and I can't have it. So he was getting in good shape and everything too. But she was talking about it, and she was like, "Yeah, it's crazy. You go there and it's like it's all." You do all the work to get there, and then when you get there, and they sort of judging you on the work that you did, but the work that you did is more like your ID to get in the room. And then they're like, okay, what's your talent?
Right.
Yeah, no, it was one of those things like I did that show, and then about 3 months later, I ended up getting medically discharged from the Army. And, I know I placed decent at that show. And then I move all the way back to Texas, and I'm getting ready to enroll in college. And then I got a phone call. It's like, hey, you qualified for your pro card. Come and compete for your pro card. And then I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, why the fuck do I want to do that? I'm good. I'm not going to struggle for that long to get
I did it.
to the East Coast. I did it once.
Man.
I proved myself. I don't need it anymore.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Were you always super disciplined and driven? Was that something that you got from the military?
I had an extent to it, but it wasn't really. My parents, they got into business. Really, they took over managing Ace Hardware whenever I was 1 year old. They moved. 2 hours from Beaumont to Houston to kind of take over that role. And they ended up buying it from the guy who had it. And he told them, a long time ago, hey, an Ace Hardware will never be successful here, so good luck. And now it's one of the biggest Ace Hardwares in the state of Texas.
Wow,
and,
there you go.
With that, I saw the work ethic and the discipline that they had putting in every single day. That kind of was instilled into me, but it was never really one of those things that I kind of, had in the back of my head, oh yeah, I'm doing this just like my parents, or, I got to stay disciplined. Jocko Willett was going off in the back of my head with that.
Right.
I started the first two businesses before I went into the military, and that's really, I think, whenever the gears started turning, I'm like, oh shit, if I actually want to do something, I need to be able to be locked in on this and be 100%. And then, obviously being inside the military was just turned up another gear and freaking just miles an hour from that ever since then.
What pulled you towards I want to start a business, I want to own my own business, you know what I mean? You're athletic, you could have been hey, I want to do football, or I want to do baseball, or I want to do this, or what was the thing that pulled you towards business so early?
Well, so I actually started off doing stick and ball sports in kindergarten, elementary school, all that kind of stuff. I thought I loved football. Didn't really care for baseball that much. My dad was a huge baseball guy. And then the guy who he was my sister's age, Joey, grew up across the street from him. He had a dirt bike, and ever since like he picked me up, put me on the gas tank of his dirt bike, did a wheelie down the street, I was like, I'm fucking hooked.
Oh yeah,
So,
X Games. Let's go. X Games.
Yeah,
That was me.
no, like that was literally it. You know, growing up, my parents got me a 4-wheeler. I started racing 4-wheelers, doing motocross on that.
Nice.
And then got into racing motocross on dirt bikes, and then ended up, you know, obviously doing what most people in motocross do, breaking a shit ton of bones.
Right.
Right. And that was kind of my my deciding factors. You know, my freshman year in high school, my football coaches told me, hey, either you're playing football or you're racing motocross. There's no in between. And then like a week later, I ended up breaking my left leg, and they pretty much kicked me from the football team. So
Right. You're like, now I'm doing neither.
yeah, I was just like, you know, screw you guys. At that time, they had a circuit that was running on ESPN that we were all kind of going after. And, you know, thankfully my parents backed me on that kind of stuff. We traveled all over, raced for a super, super long time. And I ended up, you know, that was my first bad break was on that leg. Shortly after, you know, I had a couple broken wrists, broken arm. I ended up breaking both my legs at the same time. Kind of recovered from that all throughout my high school year. And then right towards the end of my high school year, I ended up shattering my left collarbone. Oof. And the doctors thought that the way that it had broke, it would have been totally fine. And, you know, they put me in a clavicle brace, which basically just pulled your shoulders back.
Right.
And I was in that for 4 weeks. And then after those 4 weeks, it actually had separated the bones even further. So, like, and a lot of people don't know, you don't need your clavicle connected.
Okay.
It's not a necessary thing.
It's a floater.
Yeah. So, like, by that time, 4 weeks after the shatter, like, I could throw, I'm left-handed, so I could throw a football. I was back to riding motocross. Like, I felt great. And I go in, and the dude's like, bro, your shoulder's fucked. So I ended up getting 6 screws and a plate put in it, and that put me down even further. So at this time, like, you know, I'm almost 5 months in what should have taken, you know, 3-4 weeks to get healed.
Yeah.
And at that time, you know, I was really starting to see, like, hey, maybe motocross isn't going to be, you know, like a future career path thing for me based on, like, these injuries. I'm really tired of being in a cast, you know.
Demolition Derby, maybe?
Yeah, right? It was kind of like a deciding factor with that. And at the time, I was in welding in high school. Like, I always loved welding, and I had just gotten certified by NASA to be a welder. Because they had a NASA program down right by us since they're in Houston. They came out of school and did all of our qualifications. And at the same time, I was in drafting, so I was doing 3D CAD engineering.
Oh, wow.
And I ended up getting a job at a machine shop doing MWD, which is measure while drilling. So I would design all the parts, and they would send down the hole to do the sonar to see what they're drilling after. And pretty quick, I realized, I was like, dude, all I do is sit behind a computer all day. This is boring as shit. I started working, and before that, like, you know, granted, I was not a great kid growing up. I wasn't the worst, but I wasn't the best.
Right.
So, you know, like, whenever I was 14, my parents busted me smoking pot in the backyard and then forced me to work at the hardware store. So from like 14 to 16, I was basically slave labor there. And which thankfully, you know, that helped me learn so many skill sets that I
had a similar upbringing.
Dude, you know what? And funny enough, I actually worked at an Ace for 5 years.
You learn so much there.
Nice.
Yeah. I was a paint guy.
Okay.
I was a paint guy. So I learned
not to eat the lead.
No. That was good. That was good. No, actually, so what kids don't understand these days, right?
Okay.
So
Old man way
now when you go to like a Home Depot or an Ace and you go, I want this color paint. Now they like plug it into a machine and it spits it out, and then they throw it in the shaker, and there it goes. No. I was like a chemist.
Yeah.
And it gave you a formula, and you had to like pull out the
set it
tint.
just right.
Yeah, push it down.
Yeah.
Dude, when that tint got on your hands, it was the worst.
You were the analog paint.
I was the analog paint guy. Yeah, yeah.
And you have that one asshole that has a freaking gallon of paint bust inside the shaker.
Oh my god! It's like, dude, you got to balance the shaker.
Yeah.
You have to balance the shaker. That is, if anybody is going into paint, balance the shaker. Now they put out that one where it had that one single thing where it like spun it this way.
Mm-hmm.
No way. No way. I was like, I don't trust that thing. And sure enough, newbie comes along. He's like, no, I'm going to try it. I'm like, you're going to clean it then. And he's like, nah, it's cool. I was like, have fun. Sure enough, all of a sudden
is cool.
Boom! That like the top flies off. The inside's all painted, whatever it was. I was like, have fun with that, buddy. That was my Ace World. Was like you said, definitely learned a lot of shit.
Yeah, I never did the hardware store thing. I worked in a tire and lube place though, so I learned.
Oh, okay.
I learned that side. I was in with the mechanics.
Well, and that's what like transitioned next was once I started doing the machine shop stuff. I got tired of sitting behind a computer, and like they really wouldn't let me kind of like go where my brain wanted to go.
Right.
I wanted to go out there and say like, okay, hey, if I'm designing the parts that these dudes are putting in, multi-million-dollar machines to machine, like I want to see how the machine works, so then I can optimize like the design that I'm doing for them. And it was very much a strict, shut the fuck up, stay in your office kind of thing. So I was just like, dude, this is boring. So at the time, there was a chick I had gone to school with ever since first grade, and her dad owned a diesel performance shop. And I went over and I was, hanging out with them after business hours and helping him like rebuild motors and do shit like this. And it was kind of one of those things he'd bring up like an idea. I'm like, oh yeah, give me like 15 minutes. I'll draw it up in CAD and then we can freaking make it. And so like we started going back and forth, and then he, gave me a position to come on board full time and started like designing header, turbo kits, girdles, a bunch of different stuff for diesel engines.
Oh man!
So doing like performance work on like your F-250s, your 2500s, things like that. And that's whenever I really started to fall in love with like actually creating something and bringing it to market. Mm-hmm. And so I worked with him a little bit, had enough money saved up 1 year, and I decided to go all in. So I quit doing everything I was doing. I started up my first business, which was doing diesel performance work. And then that same year is whenever I bought my first fireworks stand. I got a repossessed fireworks stand from a little Asian guy that didn't pay his bill on time.
Nice.
And, literally sunk all of my savings, like every single penny I had, into just buying a shit ton of fireworks. And
right.
It ended up going horrible, but like I was at a break even. And I was like, bro, like we just tweaked a few things. Like next year will be so great. So, 6 months later, I ended up, relaunching it, and things kicked off, and they were awesome. So, did that, and then. After that, at that time in 2008, 2009, we had a little thing called a financial crisis. And that financial crisis, a lot of the people with, crazy money that wanted to go and drop, $5-10 grand on a turbo kit for a truck, didn't want to do that anymore. So I started, unfortunately becoming like a tire and a lube guy. So I was just, changing oil, rotating tires, doing suspension and exhaust to like, stay afloat. And I was like, bro, this is not for me. So I ended up it took me about 8 months to get medically cleared to go into the Army, into the infantry, because that's something I always wanted to do ever since I was a kid. And I was like, bro, I'm only getting older, like this is kind of like my prime time. So shut down the diesel shop, finally got medically cleared to go into the Army, and then gave my firework business to my sister. And I was like, all right, y'all have fun, I'll be back.
What was that process like, getting medically cleared for that with all the injuries?
It was just literally one thing after another, going to this doctor and then that doctor, and then going with my recruiter to this different MEP station. And it was just a lot of paperwork. That's why whenever I always hear people, they're like, oh, I would have joined the Army, but, I broke my arm, or I have asthma or some shit like that.
Right. Yeah. You're
okay, boy.
Right. I have plantar fasciitis. I can't possibly.
Yeah, like my nickname at the recruiting station was Iron Man because I had so much fucking metal in me.
Right, yeah.
And the best thing about all this kind of shit, it is on top of my mind because it popped up on my Facebook memories the other day, is I get in and I finally get medically cleared. And like the E7 at the time, so like the head guy at the recruiting station comes and sits me down in his office with my recruiter, which my recruiter, Jason Gordon, awesome dude. We're sitting down in this dude's office, and he's like, look, we just got you medically cleared after all these fucking months. Do not hurt yourself. And I'm just like, dude, I'm good. Like, I got like 2 months and I'm fucking shipping off. I ain't gonna hurt myself. 2 days later, I break my wrist.
Oh my god.
We had the spot where they were doing a whole bunch of like excavation for a long ass time, and they basically built this giant retention pond that had like fucking 30-foot cliffs all around it, and it was like a straight drop into the water. So we built a huge freestyle ramp, and then got our BMX bikes, and we built a giant drop-in ramp out of the bed of a truck.
Yeah.
Like we literally took pallets and like made this thing like 15 feet tall, and we would drop in, hit this freestyle ramp, and like, you know, do all the tricks and shit like that.
Right.
My dumbass goes to drop in off the top of it, and I was being cocky, and the front tire literally like rolled off the side, and I went straight down and broke my wrist. So literally I'm like cutting my cast off so I can go swear in.
Oh my god. What's it like going through security with you?
Yeah.
At an airport?
Surprisingly, like I've never had anything gone off. You know, my left leg is, you know, about halfway down below the knee is all metal. This collarbone's all metal, and this collarbone's all metal, and no, never sets it off.
Wow.
Do you know when storms are coming? Are you like?
I do. Like cold, and that's another thing. Like why a lot of people they're like, "Oh man, you should come up north." I'm like, "No, it gets cold there."
Right.
Like,
Oh yeah,
dude.
Cold outside, it fucking hurts, and like if there's a bad storm coming, it also hurts. So, thankfully, I don't think it's rained here in like the last like 3 months. So I've been enjoying it.
That's crazy. That's so like, it's funny too because you're never really in tap with that until you get older,
Right.
and then you do have like a lingering injury, and you're like, "Oh, it's gonna rain." And,
Yeah.
But that's gotta you like exacerbated things with all that stuff. So like you go into the military, and you said that you were medically discharged. What did you was it a BMX thing or something else that?
No, I ended up. So whenever I got out of basic, I ended up getting voluntold to go to a volunteer-only unit, and it's not what I wanted to do. You know, I joined the infantry in the middle of the war to be able to kick doors and shoot people in the face, and they
Right.
sent me to Arlington National Cemetery to bury all the guys who had the opportunity to go overseas and do that. So
Oh wow.
that was kind of a kick into the dick on the morale, but at the same time, you know,
Right.
it's one of the most honorable things you can do.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
that trade off, you know.
Yeah, so I did that there, and as soon as, and this is really kind of the thing that kickstarted the fitness, is I realized once I was there, I didn't like doing this. I didn't want to do it, so everyone was like, well, hey, dude, if you get fit and you're really good at physical fitness and, like, you're smart, they'll send you to whatever school you wanted to. So I just started working out like fucking crazy, and they started sending me to all the schools. So, like, the more schools I'm going to, the more I'm gone, the less funerals I'm doing or any kind of bullshit like that.
Right,
so
right.
I'm getting to travel all over the country and do these schools. I'm like, it's fucking awesome. Well, one of the things that I've always wanted to do ever since a kid was to go to Ranger School. And we're getting ready for a train up on that for like a Ranger selection for our unit to see which guys we're going to get going. And preparing for that, I went out on a 5-mile run, and right over by the Lincoln Memorial came off the curb and ended up tearing all the ligaments and tendons inside my left ankle.
Jesus.
So, and then, you know, that was towards the end of 2013. They bounced me around from doctor to doctor to doctor. All of them were saying I had different, like, issues wrong with me, shit like that. So finally, after like 6 months of that, they sent me to Walter Reed. And so I was like, finally, like, I'm getting comfortable. I'm like, bro, I'm at the best military medical hospital that there is. And I go to this doctor, and he's like, hey, yep, I know exactly what it is. You know, you have a torn tendon right here. Let's go ahead and prep you for surgery and all this and that kind of shit. So I was like, all right, cool. Like, finally, I have someone that knows what they're doing. Ends up this doctor botches the surgery, completely missing where all the tears are, and ends up like chipping away bone that's completely grown over the plate inside my leg and removing a bunch of screws, damaging the nerves, trying to take scar tissue off of it, and then shows me back up, and he's like, hey, good to go. And I was like, the fuck I am, bro. I'm like, I feel 10 times worse than what I was before. So they ended up doing that. And then in the military, you get a second opinion whenever it comes to like health related stuff. So I go back to my PA, and I'm like, look, I feel like this doctor fucked me over. I feel way worse than I was before. Like, can I get a second opinion? So they send me to a different doctor who literally works next door to that doctor who botched the surgery. And that doctor was like, hey, yeah, let's bring such and such doctor in, since he was just, you know, inside you and did that other surgery, and get his advice. And what they had came up with was my body was rejecting a metal plate that had been in there since 2006. It's now currently 2014.
Right.
And that they needed to chip all the bone away from it, completely remove any metal hardware that I had inside my left leg. And granted, at this time, I have another fucking plate in this shoulder right here. So I'm like,
Right.
I'm sure my body's not rejecting it.
Yeah, it seems like it's doing okay everywhere else.
Yeah, so that was kind of their elaborate thing, and I was going to be non-weight bearing for like 12 to 18 months as my freaking bones were going to be like rebuilding.
Holy
and shit. And at that time too, I was at my re-enlistment window. So literally, I'm getting forced the hand of like, get this surgery, stay in, and be a paper bitch, or get out.
Right.
And so I was like, I went back, I talked with some like higher leadership that I really respected inside the military of like, hey, look, these are the options. Like, you guys know why I joined and what I want to do. Like, what do I do? Like, this is a total fucking career change. Because like at that time, like, I really didn't like where I was, but I wanted to stay in the military. I didn't know how long, but it was probably going to be for a while. And it came down to like, hey, like, you need to get out and go see a real doctor. And I went out and I saw a real doctor. And in 2016, I had to have a full ankle reconstruction surgery. And thankfully, like that ended up helping me for a long time. But I've had another 2 surgeries since then, with the latest one being in May of this year. So.
Wow. Are you looking towards more, or like?
No, hopefully this one was the last one.
Yeah.
I had the ankle reconstruction surgery, and then there were still some issues with some ligaments inside of there. That was November of 2021, I believe. And then this last one, I ended up having a bunch of nerve issue. Basically, there was so much scar tissue built up inside of that ankle that the scar tissue was starting to break the actual fascia around the nerve. And then so basically like sitting, standing, anything like that is just scar tissue rubbing on the nerve. So like all of your muscles and nerves are just fucking going crazy. So it was like a consistent state of Charlie horse in my shin.
Oh, dude.
And it was like that for about 2 years.
Shin's a bad spot for a Charlie horse too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was not fun at all. So,
no, Jesus.
Now my ankle and foot looks like I have a fucking Franken foot.
Well,
but so far
you got a story.
Hey man, chicks take scars.
Yeah, at least I wasn't like riding a fucking moped or doing some shit like that.
Right? Yeah. That one time I tried skates.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was saying, after all the crazy shit you did, you broke it jogging,
right?
Coming off a curb, that's what happened. Coming off a curb.
And the thing that was like fuck too is like whenever I broke, like, it's not like a real pain thing for me. Like whenever I broke both my legs in motocross, like I hit the ground, I was concussed, got back up, and I was trying to walk and couldn't figure out why I couldn't walk. And that's because my tibia and fibia are snapped in my fucking left leg and fractured in my right leg.
Right.
But I was just like, man, this is fucking weird. Why can't I walk? And then after trying a few times, I was like, man, I should probably sit here for help. And it was kind of like that whenever I ripped the tendons and the ligaments inside of it on that run. It's like I came off and it just felt like I rolled it really, really bad.
Right.
And I was just like, dude, why does it hurt so fucking bad? Like, I don't know what's going on. And so, I was literally walking on it for like the next 6 months until the doctors were like, hey, you should be in a walking boot. And then they're like, hey, okay, no, you can be in a brace. No, you need to be in a walking boot. Now you need surgery. Now your surgery's fucked. And it's just
man.
All over. But thankfully, the whole time, I'm doing men's physique competitions, and they only judge you from waist up.
Right.
So
there you go. They just roll you in, and you're good.
Yeah. So I was
perfect.
Like, I picked the right fucking contest.
That's right. That's right.
That's great. We talked at the top of the show about Sailor Jerry.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, there is a Grill Your Ass Off and Sailor Jerry team up collab, if you will, with a barbecue sauce. We talked a little bit about it, but we also talked about there being fun Sailor Jerry stories.
Yeah,
and
the devil's rum.
Well, any rum for you is the time travel.
Yeah, it definitely is.
But Jason, do you have? You said you had a Sailor Jerry story.
Yeah, so I won't name drop anyone, just in case if
right.
watching this, but. Growing up, my small group of friends that we had one buddy whose parents were pretty well off, and whenever it came to be his 21st birthday, they bought him like a fucking party bus, and basically gave him a credit card and was just like, don't go too crazy. And they're literally loading us up with him and, you know, all of my degenerate friends and me. And like me and my childhood best friend, who I'm pretty sure y'all had his coffee, drag up coffee. Me and him are just like in the back of our heads. We're like, bro, like we got to fucking like his parents' credit card. This is going to be a fucking wild night. He just turned 21.
Right.
So we get on the bus and like come to find out a bunch, like literally all of us had snuck on bottles of liquor because they told us like no drinking on the bus. And we're like, fuck that shit.
Right.
It's a party bus without drinks.
Bus.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not all of us were 21 at the time.
Oh,
so
right.
They're like trying to be like real,
still a party bus.
Yeah, they were being gay about it. So we ended up all sneaking on like Sailor Jerry's. I think like literally like there was 10 bottles of Sailor Jerry's and like a bottle of tequila on there. And like none of this was planned. So we all end up pounding this fucking Sailor Jerry's, and then we like hopped from bar to bar to bar to bar and then finished off at a strip club. But literally like he would open up the tab with his parents' credit card, then me and Jordan would just go around and literally pull every single girl to the bar and be like, yo, shots on us. And just
That
nice.
like getting absolutely tanked. And then we ended up having the majority of the guys with us like projectile vomiting at the strip club on the strippers and on the party bus on the way home.
Whew.
And that was my first experience with Sailor Jerry.
What's up, guys? We got a little hint for you here, a little secret. How do you help the show? We've been asked. Here's a way to help the show. Check us out over at patreon.com/baconismypod. You can get lots of extra stuff.
Yeah, like additional shows, ad-free episodes, early episodes. Shoot. Every Sunday, we record our discussions and drinks live with our patrons.
Yeah, so you can have a drink with us while we do it. You can watch us cook things. You can watch us eat things. You can just support the show. And that helps us keep putting these out. It helps us just
Keep the show free.
Keep the show free. So thank you guys so much for supporting all of you over on Patreon already. Our patrons, you guys are our lifeblood. Thank you guys so much. And if you want to help out the show and you want to jump on, you want to be part of that BIMP squad, jump over to patreon.com/baconismypod.
Nice.
That's
a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Well, what I love about Jimmy's story is that he can start it and then he can finish it, but I can fill in the blanks.
Right, yeah. That is true.
Because he went time traveling.
I did.
It was fantastic.
And that is what happens when everybody's got their booze that is the blackout booze, right? Where another person enters your body, takes it over, takes it for a ride for the evening, right? So Sailor Jerry, some kind of weird pirate, took my body for a drive.
Right.
that evening.
And you didn't even bring it. You didn't even bring the bottle.
So I went to go see his band open up for the band Seven Dust. Seven Dust,
Great band,
is a band that like one of my favorite bands when I was like a kid.
Yeah.
Like I still love. They're awesome. And so I was super excited to see them. I was super excited to see you guys open for them. I got to the venue, and as I'm walking into the venue, a couple is walking out away from the door.
Dumbest story ever.
Yeah. They walked up to me and they were like, they had a bottle of Sailor Jerry in their hand, and they were like, they won't let us bring this in. And I was like, yeah, that's how bars work. Like, I don't know, what do you think's gonna happen? And they go, do you want it? And I was like, obviously, yes, I do. Sure. And I said, but before I take this, let's do a round of shots, because you're giving me a bottle of booze. You guys go first. Take your shots, and then I'll take a shot. Because I'm just going to take...
Right.
Yeah, you got to check it for ruthless.
Exactly. I want to make sure there's just enough of them. So we all do shots, and I was like, okay, sweet. So then I go around to the back of the venue, because that's where my friends who are playing the show are. And I'm like, okay, I got this bottle. I'm going to put it back here underneath this car. It might have been AJ's car.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to put it here so that I can come in and out throughout the night and do it. And so I proceed to immediately go inside and grab everybody I know and be like, come on out, let's do shots. Right? And bring everybody outside to do shots. And I remember you guys starting to play.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is going to be a great night. And then I remember waking up on my back on the ground next to my van at about 10 in the morning with just sun beating on my face. I was in a Chase Bank parking lot, which was next to the venue, and my van's sliding side door was open, and I was just on my back on the ground. So apparently I tried to get in, and I at least was getting in the side door, and I was going to go to sleep, but I did not make it. I fell backwards at some point, and I woke up like that. I just woke up and I was like, oh shit, what's going on? I texted a couple people and I was like, hey,
You called me.
Did I call you?
You called me.
I don't remember calling you. I remember texting Eddie.
Yeah.
Our buddy Eddie from a different band. And I was like, hey man, because he was one of the people that I was like, let's go do shots. And I remembered that. And I was like, hey, how's it going? And he was just like, LOL. And I was like, hey, do I need to apologize for anything? And he sent back, you were hilarious.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no. How hilarious was I? Because that can mean a lot of things.
Well, he had called me. He called me and he was like, hey man, I'm sorry, I think. And I was like, about what? I blacked out. I was like, dude, you blacked out last night? For real? Yep, I blacked out. Totally time traveled. Woke up outside my van. I was like, you do know what we did last night, right? We literally, because as soon as the show was over, crowd clears out, and Seven Dust did a cookout at their van, their RV. We were allowed to hang out with them and we ate hot dogs and hamburgers provided by them. We drank with whoever did drink in the band. I know right. A few guys didn't drink or whatever. But yeah, he got to hang out with Seven Dust.
I would have loved to have met Seven Dust. And I really like Seven Dust.
They thought he was hilarious. They thought he was a good dude.
I really, really wish I could have met Seven Dust.
Yeah. So that's his Sailor Jerry story. I actually, knock on wood, I don't have one, but we can. I mean, listen.
You gotta have a booze story.
Oh, I would definitely have a booze story.
Yeah, I know you have a booze story.
I mean, I have a Jameson story.
What's your Jameson story?
Well, I have several of those, but
yeah.
But no, at your show.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know your Jameson.
Yeah, he was playing a show at a local establishment, and a buddy of ours, Al, if you're listening, he loved one of my bands at the time,
and he does this to us every time. Every time, he's one of those.
He's like the parents gave him the credit card, but he's the parent, the credit card and the person,
right.
and this place, they had happy hour. These guys played like just after happy hour, so everybody came early to hang out, party a little bit, get some food. He saw I was there, and he was like, hey man, I'm buying drinks. And I was like, okay. For whatever reason, it was like 2 for 1 everything. All night. And so I was like...
those. I love 2 for 1.
Yeah, it was great.
I love 2 for
awesome.
1 anything.
Right. And then, so I'm just drinking tons of Jameson because Al comes, and he's like, dude, more. And there was a point in the night that I just... The blip.
Right.
And supposedly I was having some really good, deep conversation with people. I was having a lot of fun. People thought I was hilarious. Had a buddy of ours that had a good time with me. And I was talking to him. And then all of a sudden I said, hold on a second. And I walked away. I went to the bar that was further from the stage, because this place has 3 bars. I sat on the bar stool. I put my head down, and I went to sleep.
Yep, you just, good night.
And at which point a bouncer saw me and said, hey, you can't sleep there. You're out of here. So my friends proceeded to pour me into the back of my old Trailblazer, where my wife picked me up, my girlfriend at the time.
I do remember that.
Or no, my fiance at the time.
Yeah.
So she just kind of
We're all like, you sure? This is...
Here we are, 12 years later.
It's not going to get worse than this.
No, this is
Well, just wait. Whenever y'all come down to Texas, y'all are going to have to let me know, and we'll let you have your first Sailor Jerry experience.
Sweet. I'm looking forward to it.
I mean, I'm not going to say no, because I'm more of a yes guy. But damn it.
I've actually done shots of... I did beer pong with a barbecue sauce before. Nice. I haven't done it with Grill Your Ass Off yet, so...
Yeah.
It's a bucket list thing.
I've never done that before. I don't plan on doing that either.
I did it. It was in high school. I did it with Stubbs mopping sauce.
Why?
I don't know. We were bored. It was high school.
I mean, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. Is why?
We were in high school. We were bored,
right?
And we had Stubbs.
But you didn't have like a horrible case of like MGD under a.
I mean,
buried in the yard or something.
We probably did, but I think we were just like, fuck it. We just hit fuck it.
Right.
And somebody was like, you wouldn't do this. And I'm like, line them up.
Line up the barbecue sauce.
We did a lot of that kind of shit. I mean, I feel like our generation was blessed with Jackass coming out, right as we were all...
Very true, yeah.
Getting out of school or, like, in school and shit like that. And I know, the first time we were, me and my childhood best friend Jordan were arrested was doing fucking shit from Jackass. So,
right.
And, it didn't help that my mom egged us on for fucking everything.
We actually did the hockey fight thing. Like there was a local church that had like outdoor kids basketball.
Yeah.
And they did it like they had it. There was like two or three courts, and there were just like several hundred people there for those games. And we went to the middle of the parking lot that was just within reach. And we started doing that, and they called the cops on us.
Yeah, my generation was slightly before Jackass. It was more pro wrestling Attitude Era.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
So it was like, so we were doing like, we were clotheslining each other off of each other's shoulders into swimming pools or into like what seemed like soft dirt mounds or snow or whatever.
Yeah.
We were like, will that break your fall? Cool, clothesline me into it. Like,
yeah,
power bomb. See if we can go through the table. Like that kind of like we were like ECW, let's do it.
Oh, okay. See, I Jackass thing.
But it was also dumb enough to be like, these clotheslines are real, right?
Yeah.
just full force, just like
well we were
taking someone's head off and then being like, that really hurt my arm.
The Jackass thing, we had like again, this was an Ace story. It was an Ace home center, so we had like sales on individual paper towels,
right?
And my buddy had to do the pyramid, the big pyramid with all the paper towels, on the skid on the end cap, and I elected to jump into it when he was finished.
Nice.
That was a Jackass thing.
Yeah, I was always one of those. Jump off it, jump into it.
How many?
How high is it? What are we jumping into?
How many rides and shopping carts have you taken, Jason?
A lot.
To CKY.
to CKY.
The house that we grew up in, whenever all that kind of stuff was like first coming out, and thankfully, like this worked out great because the way that the neighborhood I grew up in, my best friend Jordan was 5 houses down the street from me. He grew up riding motocross, and I didn't grow up doing it, but about 12 years old is whenever I got into it.
Right.
And so like we both rode all the time. We had other friends that rode all the time. And then there was a creek that kind of did, it was on the west and south side of the whole entire neighborhood. There's horse stables in the very back, but the nice thing with the creek, it allowed us to like run from the cops. Like we're out there like terrorizing the neighborhood on 4-wheelers and dirt bikes. It's like we knew how to beeline off into the creek and then just be lost. And then at that point, it's just, hey, time it to where we can get inside the garage and close it fast enough before they find us. So like we were the little fucking hoodlums of the neighborhood, and my parents had a huge driveway, like super long driveway, and it was all downhill to the street. So that was like our number one thing is like go snag a couple of shopping carts and then you start at the very top, push as fast as you can across the street to the curb and fucking launch the person. But I mean, we did dumb shit. Like, I don't know why my mom allowed this to happen, but at the same time, like, I'm thankful for it because I got a lot of stupid shit out of the way very young. Like, I mean, my buddy Jordan, we like staged it one time. And this is like whenever people were first starting to get like high speed internet inside their house, like the cable guys coming by the house. And my parents had like a little office inside of one of the upstairs rooms. So I got a giant cardboard box and like my parents had no idea this was going on. My dad's, off running the hardware store. My mom's at the house trying to make sure the cable guy has everything we need. Well, I ended up duct taping Jordan's mouth shut, putting him in only a jock strap, and then duct taping his hands behind his back, and like we put him inside of a box until the cable dude's like a good, 10 minutes in there, like hooking up all the wires and shit. He starts shuffling around in the box, like popping out of the box, just take off running. Like that was my childhood growing up.
That is fantastic.
That's awesome.
We need to find somebody to put in a box.
And one of the best things is, and I love this because James will find this out before Wednesday, whenever this goes live. So James is like my number 2 at the company. He was my first part-time employee at Grill Your Ass Off, full-time employee, and he just spent 3 weeks on the road with me. Well, the whole entire time we're on the road, I'm texting his wife because I'm buying harmonicas for her to zip tie all underneath his truck while he is gone. And I love James to death, but he doesn't know dick shit about mechanics. Like, he had to FaceTime me to change his battery in his truck.
Right.
So one of his closest friends up there in North Carolina works at the Toyota dealership as a service tech. So if there's ever a doubt in his mind something is wrong, he takes it straight to him. So he's about to be gone for 3+ weeks. Come back, goes to drive his fucking kid to school. It's gonna sound like a harmonica.
It's just gonna be like,
yeah. So.
Oh, that's such a good joke. That's such a good.
That is the greatest thing ever.
Such a good prank.
I'm like in between driving because like we have my truck has the the big screen in it with the Apple CarPlay. So if anyone texts me, it pops up with the name. So every time we would stop and fill up the truck or take a piss, I'm texting Danielle like, "Hey, has the package arrived? Hey, are you good? Do you need me to buy zip ties too? Like, hey, where are you at with this step right here?" And like me and her just going back and forth on ways to terrorize him while he's here in Texas.
Oh,
wow,
that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's like like we went through a bottle of Jameson once, and he goes, "Oh, you should take the last swig," and I was like, "No." You're like, "What are you, a pussy? I'm driving." Okay, fine. I go to do it, punches me right in the stomach, and then I puke. And that was a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, we
best friends are the worst.
We do things to our friends.
No, 100%. Me and him fuck with each other all the time.
Yeah.
That's part of the deal.
Yeah,
that's part of the deal.
That's what made us friends.
We became friends over a prank war with our bands.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's like Jordan, my childhood best friend, like last year. So like he's real huge on TikTok.
Yeah.
With Drag Up Coffee, and so last year. There's a lake about 200 yards over a hill right behind me. And so I'm out on the boat, chilling on the lake, minding my own business. And then all of a sudden I start getting a couple text messages and I open it up and it's a link to a video that Jordan had just made breaking into my house because he knew I was on the fucking boat. And he's like going through all of my shit, sitting down like here on the computer like, "Oh, look at me, I'm Mr. CEO, grill your ass off." I'm like, fuck.
That's fantastic.
That is amazing. Dude, Jason, thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for helping the show out.
Thanks for coming and having a drink. And
for coming up with amazing flavors because we like eating, bacon. You'd figure that.
We also have another message from our friend Donna who says, "I use my Platoon Sergeant seasoning a lot. It's awesome on cauliflower gnocchi."
Yes.
I
mean, Platoon Sergeant is just the best all around the board. I mean, it's just literally salt, pepper, garlic. But the coolest thing is we use 2 different size actual salt flakes and then 3 different coarse grinds of pepper inside of it. So as it's hitting your tongue and as you're cooking your food, those different sizes of coarse seasonings are going to develop differently.
Yeah,
So
right,
it's
right.
a completely different flavor profile than just a traditional, salt, pepper, and garlic.
You're gonna get some textures too if you season before you eat.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then just so y'all are aware, we do have some pretty kick-ass products coming out here very, very soon. That is totally different. We've never done.
Okay.
We're psyched, man. We're psyched.
Okay. We'll talk about that.
I was excited to see the donkey balls and the
The donkey dong.
and the donkey dong when we went to the we didn't even tell you, like, when we went to this last.
Well, no, I did tell him.
Okay, I was
Via
gonna say
email.
we had so many people coming up to the table, but we did some contests with people eating them and stuff. But we actually, a couple people said that they were like literally ordering on their phone while we were talking to them, which was great. So hopefully that helped. But people seem to really dig it.
We actually had Rise Amongst Rivals, a band that we had on.
Yeah.
We'll be having on eventually again. They actually did like a family cookout night where we gave them a full sampler.
Mm-hmm.
We gave them out to a couple of the bands that were talking about how they cooked and stuff. They did a full sampler, and I think they did like several different dishes with different flavors. And they shot it over to us, and they shot it over to the social medias and stuff like that. And I was like, dude, fucking sweet.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so we're spreading it through the touring band world.
No, I love it. I mean, like, all the bands that y'all have mentioned and shit like that, that's all stuff that, like, back in the day, like, with the motocross, like, VHSs and DVDs and shit like that, you hear fucking Seven Dust and, like, old school Kill Switch.
Right.
Yeah.
All of these fucking old, like, MXPX shit like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool being able to talk with y'all about that and these bands and, like, knowing all these different names and stuff like that. It's like, it brings back, like, those old school roots of, like, how we ended up where we are.
Hell yeah.
Well, and everything's whether you're trying to build a business, you're trying to build a band, you're trying to build a podcast, you're trying to sell something, whatever you're doing, it's all grassroots, it's all guerrilla marketing, it's all sharing it, it's all kind of like
collaborating. Yeah,
collabs and getting to talk to the people that are listening or using it or doing whatever, like all of that is that. I mean, that's how it works. That's the whole idea behind everything. No one's a success if you don't have that kind of guerrilla marketing attitude. Everything's a little bit punk rock. You know what I mean? Like everything.
100%.
Yeah.
Everything's got to like start there. No matter how big it gets, it started a little bit punk rock with people being like, "Yo, put this in your ears, put this in your mouth, put this in your, fucking figure it out." So it's all the same, which is great.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, which you shouldn't not know, if you're listening to this, you should definitely know. But Jason, where can they find you? Where can they find everything? Grill Your Ass Off.
Everything. I mean, for me personally, just Jason Murff. I think the Instagram is just Jason Murff _3. And then Grill Your Ass Off, just anything Grill Your Ass Off. The only thing that's not just Grill Your Ass Off is Facebook, and it's just one S instead of two. They're sensitive over there, so
yeah, that'll happen.
That's that. But I mean, like, at the end of the day, you can go. Bacon is my podcast and hear all things great, Grill Your Ass Off, and music. So
go to baconsmypodcast.com. Get the link to.
And congratulations on Veteran-Owned Small Business of the Year 2022.
Yeah, dude.
Thank you.
I think that's super awesome. Like that's badass. That's
something that we didn't do that we
cool.
usually do. Is thank you. Thank you for serving our country.
Like, oh yeah, absolutely.
When we find out that somebody has done so, we super appreciate it. We always try to recognize.
Yeah, we didn't even ask him his thoughts on UFOs.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that was one of the. Oh man, fucking. We were listening to the Sean Ryan show with the dude who bought Skinwalker Ranch on our way.
Yeah.
Like, whenever we were, like, I think driving through Amarillo or somewhere, and it's like, fuck, we got like 8 hours left. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, we need to put something on interesting. Start listening to that shit. Like, I don't know. That's a. I mean, I think that you'd be crazy to think that there's not something out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Whether you're religious or not, like, how could there not be if the universe is as big as it is? All the crazy shit that goes on, just here.
Yeah, there's too many things. There's too many weird things.
Yeah.
to it not point to something. You know what I mean? And the
fact
Skinwalker Ranch stuff is crazy.
Oh yeah,
that shit's nuts. Yeah,
I mean, like, I guess like the biggest thing at the end of the day, and you know, I saw some other people talking about this in like news articles: is the alien going to be fuckable or not?
I think everything's fuckable if you try hard enough.
Right. There's got to be a hole somewhere.
I mean, we were all 13-year-old boys.
You're very resourceful.
So, yeah.
Yeah, back of the knee goes a long ways.
Back of the knee, water wings.
I forgot about your water wings.
Water wings.
I forgot about that. Wow. All right. Well.
Yeah. No, it's been fun. It's most podcasts nowadays that I do, I can't break loose like this. So.
Oh no. Jimmy fucks water wings. It's fine.
And we fucked
water wings.
Hey.
Water wings.
Doesn't matter as long as you have a good time.
Not present tense. Not present tense.
And he's going to be gone for what, 3 weeks?
Well, and they're cheap, so you know, it's possible.
So,
it's possible.
Yeah,
anything's possible.
Get another one real quick and easy.
Exactly.
Hey man, anything's possible.
Yeah,
if you try hard enough.
Guys, thank you again for joining us. And always remember to ask yourself one super important question. Jimmy, what is that?
Yeah, what's your bacon?
All right, that's the end of the show.
That's the show.
Patrons, we're going to see you later.
Yeah, thank you, patrons. Donna, thanks for hanging out the whole time. Donna also say congratulations and thank you to you.
I put that up on the screen.
Okay,
thank
cool.
you, Donna.
And yeah, so you've got a steady group of fans in the Patreon community as well. So
no, that's awesome. Thank you guys so much. And then if y'all have